Enhancing one's CQ or cultural intelligence is not rocket science. CQ is composed of four qualitatively different capabilities, and yet each one of the four factors is interrelated. For real effectiveness, cross-cultural workers need all four CQ capabilities, because focusing only on one factor of CQ may actually result in increased cultural ignorance rather than resulting in enhanced cultural intelligence. This is because CQ requires an overall repertoire of adaptive capabilities. These capabilities are CQ drive, CQ knowledge, CQ strategy, and CQ action. Today, we want to talk about CQ action. In the present cross-cultural situation, what behaviors do I need to adjust? How do I adapt my communication techniques? How do I negotiate? And how do I know when to flex and when not to flex? Americans are innately conformist by nature. We easily adjust our behavior to the surrounding environment. Usually, the way we serve others is reflected in our behavior. We love to be accepted, but this propensity could be a two-edged sword. Do we know what someone is talking about? Are we able to communicate effectively? Can we greet people appropriately and adjust our behavior as needed while still remaining true to who we are? CQ action is the extent to which we appropriately change our verbal or nonverbal actions when we interact cross-culturally. The real challenge here is knowing when it's appropriate to flex our behavior from how we would act in our own cultural context and when it isn't. The goal is to be yourself, while at the same time figuring out what behaviors need to change in order to lovingly express how you are and what your intentions and objectives are in establishing the relationship. Ideally, genuine CQ action could only be established by having a proper handle on the other three dimensions of CQ drive, CQ knowledge, and CQ strategy. Leaders with high CQ action can draw on the other three dimensions of CQ to translate their enhanced motivation, understanding, and planning into actions. They possess a broad repertoire of behaviors which they can use depending on the context. In honing CQ action skills, one develops the capability to be flexible in verbal and nonverbal actions. It also includes appropriate flexibility in speech acts, the exact words and phrases we use when we communicate specific types of messages. While the demands of today's intercultural settings make it impossible to master all the do's and the don'ts of various cultures, there are certain behaviors that should be modified when we interact with different cultures. For example, Westerners need to learn the importance of carefully studying business cards presented by those from most Asian contexts. Also, some basic verbal and nonverbal behaviors enhance the extent to which we are seen as effective by others. As an example, the verbal tone, loud or soft, in which words are spoken can convey different meanings across cultures. Although it is not necessary for one to master the intricacies of bowing in Japanese culture, appropriate use of touch is something to bear in mind. In sum, almost every approach to cross-cultural work insists on the importance of flexibility. With appropriate CQ action, we now have a way of enhancing our flexibility. However, it is more than simply adapting behavior to the different culture. It also requires that we, in turn, consider what the person from another culture expects of us. How do people expect us to act based on our cultural context? And how should that affect our behaviors? What misconceptions are likely to be present in their assumptions about me? These are critical considerations for our interaction with others. There are two types of adjustments that one Craig Shorty suggests should be made. First, we have to adjust to behaviors of other people that annoy or confuse us. And secondly, we have to adjust our own behavior so that it doesn't needlessly annoy or confuse other people. Our willingness to change certain habits and behaviors can make the cross-cultural experience something to be cherished. Thank you.